Hey everybody, my name is Kyle Knott and I am not your average finance guy. Would you make a bet that you intend to lose? No, right? That's the logical answer. I'm going to talk to you about term life insurance. Term life insurance is a bet. It's a bet that you want to lose. Okay, term life insurance, what is it? You pick a term, the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you pay money to the life insurance company and you say, hey, if I die within this next term, then you pay my family. I don't want to die. I hope I'm not going to die. I don't think I'm going to die. But that's what we do when we buy term life insurance. Term life insurance. Well, it's cheap. You know, some people like to go to the store and they go straight to the clearance. Like, oh man, this is 90% off. And instead of paying full price, it's now 90% off, so they can't afford not to buy it. Even though they don't want it, they don't need it. But it's so cheap that they buy it. Okay, now term life insurance is a little bit different. I get that. If that's all you can afford, that's all you can afford. It gives you that assurance that your family will be taken care of financially a little bit upon your passing in this window of time, if it should happen. So, 10 to 20-year term insurance is probably the most popular insurance out there. I actually read a quote the other day that only 1.1% of all 10-year term life insurance is actually used. 1.1%. So that means what? 98.98 and change of people are making bets that they never win and they know they'll never win it and they don't want to win it. A little story about me: when I first got married and our first baby was born, my wife actually quit her job while she was pregnant, and we ended up living frugally off of my salary only. And doing that is like, okay, wow, I am now responsible for this small family. If something should happen to me, there's no more income coming. Yes, my wife could have went back to work. She already had a son, so we got 2 kids, and for her to go back and find daycare for two, like man, this. So I went and I looked at. I need to insure my life. I need to ensure that my family is taken care of if something should happen to me. So I went the cheap route. I found a term life insurance. It was rough numbers. I know it was $500,000, so $500,000 for, I believe it was a 20-year term, and it was over $500 a year. I don't remember what it was, 587 or something. We'll just say $500. So in that 20-year term, that would have been that if I die somewhere along the way, my wife and kids would have gotten $500,000. My wife would have got $500,000 for her to take care of the family, in until my son was, obviously my baby was 20 years old. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, this is as much as I want to pay. I want to invest a lot and create wealth in other ways. And my thought process was, well, okay, in 20 years, I'm going to be so rich anyway that we won't need this insurance anymore. So I think at the time I got it, I was about 30 years old, 31 or something. So I basically made a $10,000 bet that I would pay $500 a year for 20 years, that if I die by the time I'm 50, I would lose that $10,000. So best case scenario for me is I pay $500 every year and I just give that to the insurance company. And that's a pretty good game to have. The insurance company knew I was healthy. I still am, knock on wood. And I went through, they drew my blood. They went and looked at all my medical records and they assessed how much of a risk I was at dying at 30 years old. And I don't know what the life expectancy is 85 or something. So they know I'm probably going to die in around 80, 85, 90, somewhere in there. And they had no problem insuring my life. They would give me $500,000 if I would just give them $500 a year. So what they do is they take a bunch of people that are all doing that. They're all paying $500 a year. If one person should happen to die, it's just pennies to them because they're collecting so much in this term life insurance revenues. So after I did that for a little while, I was like, okay, I could sleep tight at night. I kind of just, no one thinks about dying. It's kind of morbid. So I stopped thinking about it. But then I got into this IBC method and I'm looking at what this does. And like, wait a second, I want to build all these investments to take care of my family down the road. And I can actually do that by getting a different insurance product. It actually helps me in my end goal of the investments and everything that I want to leave to my family upon my passing, hopefully when I'm in my 80s or beyond, but that will get them set up for success. So that's when I kind of switched over. I looked at the whole life policy. Now, yes, I pay a lot more into my whole life policy than what I did in my term policy, but I have access to all of that, basically all of it, 90% of everything I put in. So what I was doing, I was funding my investments, fund my investments, but now what I do is I fund my insurance. I fund my insurance. When I see a great investment come up, I borrow against my insurance and I buy that great investment. I take all of the cash flow from the great investment and I pour it back into that insurance policy. When the next big investment comes up, I borrow against that insurance policy. I buy the next investment. You don't have to blow it all right now. You can save it, wait for the right opportunity to come up, and then you pull the trigger and you can do that. I did that for the last 11 years or so. I now have 33 units of rental properties. And by now, what these do is all of the cash flow from those rental properties, I pay all of my premiums back. Other people, my tenants, are paying my premiums for me. They're paying the rents, they're paying the mortgage, they're paying the insurance, they're paying everything that the unit itself needs. Plus, they're putting money back into my pocket, paying for my insurance policies, and then some. And they're paying for my next investment. So now this whole thing is just rolling. The cash value builds up faster. And as soon as I get enough to take a loan, boom, I take a loan, I buy a really good investment. Now that generates the cash flow right back up. It just keeps on going and going. So that's where I'm heading with my investments. I'm kind of directing everything, and I'm taking them through my insurance policy, my IBC policy. With the IBC policy, I went from $500 a year to my first year I put in $30,000. This is my story. Okay. The second through ninth, I put in 20,000. I think I'm in year 7 right now. So I've got 2 more years to put in $20,000. After that, the way I set up my policy, I set it up as a 10 pay. That means after 10 years, I never have to put another dime into it ever again. If I don't want to, I'm going to, but I don't have to after that. And I am guaranteed when I die to get a death benefit. Okay. I don't know if I die tomorrow, I'm covered. If I die when I'm 90, I'm covered. When I die, or if I turn 120, then they're just going to give me my death benefit anyway. They're not going to wait for me to die after that. But that's where I'm at now. Now, yes, $20,000 a year is a lot more than $500 a year. But guess what? I was putting all that into my savings, trying to wait for the next investment to then build up my savings. So instead of building up my savings, I just moved that over and got a death benefit along with it. And I use this money. This money grows so much faster than what a savings account could. The cash value in there that I can borrow against. I think it's like around year 4. In year 5, we'll call it, I can actually borrow more money out against that policy than I put in. And every year after that, for the rest of my life, it just keeps on compounding. It's continuous compound interest of the cash value, and I can borrow against that for anything I want. I like to buy assets that repay it faster and faster. At some point, I might just want to go take a trip. I might want to buy a nice car. I've always kind of wanted to own a Corvette. I don't know if I will, but you can buy whatever you want. You can buy a boat. You can buy the camper. You can buy the cabin on the water, on the lake. You can do whatever you want with this. There's no credit checks. It is safe from creditors. It's an insurance policy. So you don't have to check for credit. You don't have to go through all the BS at the bank every time you want to take out a loan. And there's like I said, a guaranteed death benefit when I die, not if I die within this certain window of time. Okay. If I die, I just looked at my policy this morning, and if I die at 85 years old, my family will get a $2.8 million death benefit. If I hold on till I'm 95, they'll get a $3.3 million death benefit. Now, when I had my term policy, it was $500,000, period. Whether I die when I was 30, I think I got it when I was 32, whether I was, or 52. If I die when I'm 52 in one day, zero. I paid $10,000. My family gets nothing. With that term policy, I can't borrow against it. I can't do anything with it. All it is literally, it's kind of like rent. If you rent a house, you're throwing money away. You're throwing it to a landlord like me, and you're paying all the landlord's bills and putting money in their pocket, paying for their whole life policy. So that's kind of the way I see term insurance, and I understand it. I'm not saying don't get it. If that's all you can afford for a little bit extra, help you sleep at night, go for it if that's all you've got. But if you want to do something different, kind of like what I talk about on this, so let's go ahead and let's look at an infinite banking structure. Let's look at whole life policy that you can then use that to get investments, pay yourself back, and it just never ends. It's this cycle that keeps on giving, honestly. And you can set these things up so many different ways. So each person is different. If you'd like me to take a look at it, if you want to talk, I'd be happy to talk. And we can just look, and you can actually get an illustration, it's called, and set up for what do you want. Some people like to take, they pay into it until they're 70. Then when they're 70, they start taking, I've seen cases where you take $150,000 a year out when they're 70, and they never have to pay it back. They never intend to pay any of it back. It just comes out of the death benefit when they pass. So your heirs will get a little bit less, but it kind of works. It's almost doubles as a retirement account. Okay. I think there are better investments out there than just doing the infinite banking, just having the policy. But to me, the policy is a tool. It's a something you can use to grow your wealth substantially. And it's really not that hard. It took me a while to get my head wrapped around it, but once I did, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty simple. If anytime I need money, I get on the computer and I push a couple buttons. Within a day or two, I have a check in my bank account, and I then send that out to wherever I want. So that's how I use that. So I'm a big proponent of the infinite banking concept, the whole life dividend paying life insurance. And if you just go down to anybody on the street corner, they will say, oh yeah, I know what that is. And they'll put you into something, and they're probably guaranteed to make a lot of commissions. Okay. So be very careful that if this is structured properly, the commissions go way down, because what we're doing is we're taking as much insurance out of this as we can, and we're upping the cash value. There's different ways you can do all of this stuff. So that's just something to think about before you just go down to, whatever your insurance guy down in the corner, because I will tell you that life insurance sales are very lucrative, and there are a lot of commissions to be made, and the agents may not always work in your best interest, but in their own. So really look into that. Make sure you know who you're talking with, and even if you trust them, I mean, money does crazy things to people. So really don't just trust me, look at other sites, look into the infinite banking concept, and look at how this stuff is really structured. And if you're done right, if done the way I'm kind of talking about this stuff on my channel, the commissions that the agent make go way, way down, and your benefits, in my mind, go way, way up. So, all right, I hope this helps. As always, let me know if you got any questions. Be happy to make another video on that, and good luck.